Welcome back to the Head and Heart podcast. Can you believe it is already round 19? As always, I'm the heart, he's the head. I'm the one who loses money and he sometimes wins. Let's get into it. How'd you do last week, Heart? Sorry, Head.
Yeah, back in the green this week from the bets posted on the podcast. I went 4 of 6 on those bets with a total profit of $311. I actually ended up losing the week for myself because I was a bit complacent with my bets, didn't get on the Warriors game. Yeah, just very complacent. So you'll see that in the spreadsheet. But if you got on the bets that I posted, you would have made $311. So pretty happy with that. What about yourself?
Not bad at all. Unfortunately for me, I only had one from eight with a loss of $30. I should have won a bet, but we'll get into that later, which would have put me up just above even.
Yeah, nice. So speaking of, let's jump into the games from last round. Uh, Obviously, we're leading into round 19, but round 18 saw some big scores from players and some big implications for our bets. The first game of the round was the Eels versus the Rabbitohs. What did you have in this game?
Yeah, so I had AJ, Trell, and the Bunnies to win, I believe, 13 plus. Unfortunately for me, somehow the Bunnies put on 30 points and AJ did not score. This must be bizarro world. I don't see how that happens. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think they're just not going to him. For mine, I didn't have anything in this game. Just was thought that the Eels might have some motivation to get up, but preferred the Bunnies. So a little bit annoying. I didn't get on this game, but didn't lose money.
Fair
Um,
enough.
Moving on to the next game was the Sharks versus the Titans. We sort of had differing opinions on this one, but what did you have in this game?
Yeah, so I had the Titans to win, and I also had AKP for a double. As we can see, the Titans did win, and they won just enough by -3.5 to therefore put me 1-0 for the round so far in our side bets. But other than that, unfortunately, I had AKP a double, and AKP did not look like scoring whatsoever. How about yourself?
Yeah, I had the Sharks over 26.5 total points. Probably expected it to be less wet than it was. So not ideal conditions to hit the overs for either team in this one, but they didn't win at the end of the day. The Sharks aren't looking great at the moment, uh, off a few losses, and then Nico Hines being out is going to compound that. But we get into that heading into the next round. So yeah, I had a loss in this game. The next game of the round, though, was the Broncos versus the Panthers. I had the Panthers -3.5 in this one. The Panthers looked good. They didn't look amazing, but they looked definitely good enough to get it done. And
Yeah, and keep in mind the weather was really poor during this game. Like at one
yeah,
point, it was almost coming down sideways. So unfortunately, points were never going to come in this game.
yeah,
Yeah, and I myself believed there was going to be points. I thought Panthers going to win 13 plus. I had Bizza to score as well. Bizza did score, but with the weather, I think 6-14 is a good score line.
yeah. Fair enough. The next game of the round was the Bulldogs versus the Warriors. It was a Golden Point thriller, this one.
I
Bull
was personally actively robbed in this. I had the Warriors plus DWs at any time. And you know what happens? Of course, days afterwards, days after the game, the head ref of the boss says, we kind of missed a penalty and the Warriors should have had a chance of two in front to win the game. But nope, unfortunately, I got robbed. I got screwed. The Warriors got screwed, but more importantly, I got screwed. How about yourself?
Yeah, for myself, I had the Warriors under. I ended up getting 20.5 points, but 18.5 points cashed either way. And we had a side bet on that one as well. So the the Bulldogs continue to defend well as they have throughout the whole season. So happy that that one got home in this one.
Fair enough. Lucky
So
you.
1-1
Lucky you.
in the side bets going into the next game.
Yeah, no worries. So the next game, it was the West Tigers v the Storm. The score ends up being 28-40. How
Yeah.
lovely.
We can touch on the side bet first in this one because it's a bit of opinion, I guess. The Tigers were down 4 at halftime. I'm pretty sure they didn't get booed off.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
unfortunately, they didn't get booed off there, but they did get booed off at the end of the game.
did they actually?
They did actually receive a couple boos their way. They just kind of gave up halfway through.
Yeah. So the bet post on the pod that I had was the Tigers plus 13 and a half. So that just got up in the end. So it shows you the value of taking a good line. Um, yeah. So that one, cash. What about yourself?
Yeah, as it turns out, I thought I won this bet, but I didn't. So I had the Storm at a line of negative 19 and a half and Pappenhausen Warbrick anytime. So slash my record for this one, I'm actually down $80 this round. Apologies, everyone out there following at home. Yeah, so I thought the line was 22, not 12. I totally misread it.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I am a fat 0 from 8 this week.
Nice. Um, yeah, well, jump into the next game then. The Cowboys versus the Seagulls. The Seagulls got up on a thriller in this one for my benefit because I did have the Seagulls head to head at $2.14. So that was a nice little payday. Uh, some of the ins that came in, like Tommy Travojevic, didn't quite look as good as he could have, but
He looks quite unwell, actually. Like it seems like he's not quite back to his best.
yeah,
Slow.
yeah.
I would not be. Don't touch him in Supercoach anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, at least shows that even without some of the upside that I thought might have came in as a factor in this game in Tommy Trbojevic, the bet still got up. So pretty happy with that one in this game. What about yourself?
Yeah, so I had Holmes and Drinkwater anytime try scorers. I believe Drinky bomb one. I think Holmes did as well. But also had Cows to win anytime. So unfortunately, the Cows should have won that game. They just bombed like 3 or 4 tries. It's not fun to watch. This one, I'm saying this one should have been a win if not for the fact that Cowboys tried to lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting they Drinkwater kicked that 2 point field goal and then they didn't go to him for the rest of the field goals.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, even Val Holmes has kicked one from 40. Pass to him.
Yeah. The next game of the round was the Roosters versus the Dragons. The Roosters humming at the moment, won by 30 in the end. Myself, I did have the Roosters 1 to 12. Thought the Dragons would keep it a lot closer than they did. But yeah, the Roosters just way too good in this one. What did you have?
Yep. So Roosters head to head. I also had Young, Lomax, Critter, and May anytime try scorers. So basically, what ends up happening, I've got every try scorer except Lomax and Terrell May. You win some, you lose some. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think that Terrell May off the bench. I just think is a far worse try scoring option. But it is what it is. So yeah, I lost. That was the last bit that I lost in this one. The last game of the round, though, the Knights versus the Raiders was a bit of a nervous watch as a Knights fan, but the Knights
Yeah,
got it
those
done.
last 20 minutes were just foul to watch. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know how to explain it other than like the most brain dead takes I've ever seen. Like, you have players just running on the fifth for no reason. In the last 20 seconds, for some reason, they didn't kick the ball out dead. They gave every single chance they could to Canberra.
yeah, yeah. Your bet looked okay in parts, but what did you have in this one?
Yes, so I had Knights, Ponga, Best, and Marzu. Unfortunately, I don't think Ponga. I don't know what Ponga was doing in the second half. He played a good first half, but just kind of did nothing in the second. And
Yeah,
like, it's really interesting to see as well that second Gagai try happened because they used Ponga as a decoy.
yeah,
Like, I think maybe if Ponga wanted to play 80, we could have gotten up, but no. I'm just happy to take a Knights win with this one.
yeah, yeah. Same here. So let's move on to that round. Let's move on to what should be an exciting round 19, sorry. It's the last major buy round, so a lot of implications for Supercoach and betting as well, because obviously there's a lot of outs in different teams, so it makes it an interesting round to bet on.
Does indeed, doesn't it?
Before we get too deep into that, though, let's touch on our Supercoach ranks. How'd you go, and where's your rank at now?
Yeah, so I am 42,358, down 1,000 total places with a total score of 1186 this round. Should I be on a podcast about Supercoach? Definitely not.
Yeah, for myself, I'm sort of just hanging around this 13K mark. I can't really shake it. So I've down another 200 places this week with a total score of 1318. Still don't own Tedesco, so pretty happy with that as a non-Tedesco owner. But pretty annoyed that Tedesco did go as big as he did. It like I ended up losing my Supercoach matchup was first, second this week. I ended up losing because my opponent captained Tedesco, and I lost by like 30, 40. So pretty frustrating week in that sense. But not the worst. I haven't fallen too far.
Could be far worse.
Yep. Let's jump into the bets of the week. Best bets of the week. Obviously, the first segment that we want to touch on is the head and the heart bet of the week. Take it away with what that is.
Yeah, so we ourselves are going to the ninth wonder of the world, being Four Pines Park, also known as Asbestos Oval. So we thought, hell yeah, let's get on this game. There are two debutants in particular that we think will score tries, being Humphreys for Manly and Come On Carnes for Newcastle. Those two together on Bet365 are $15. Get amongst it, and if you see us on the hills, get amongst it as well.
Yeah, yeah. There might even be better odds. It might be something I jump on. Chuck in the spreadsheet, so I'll post the best odds in the spreadsheet on game day. So keep an eye out on the spreadsheet for that one. In terms of my best bet, personal best bet for the round, I've got the Titans 1-22. It's the Titans team that gets Jaden Campbell back, and they're versing a team that's missing a few star players. Obviously, Mitchy Moses is the big out in that game, but then Junior Paulo also out. So I think the Titans get the win. I'm not confident to take the 7.5 line because I still think this Eels team will be desperate enough to keep it close, considering they've taken a few losses recently. They probably don't. They're probably going to be fired up, sorry, to play well. So the
Yeah.
Titans 1-22. I'm happy to take in this one. I'm not as confident on the negative 7.5. What about yourself? What's your
Yeah,
best bet?
fair enough. I am thinking a week in advance here. Let's talk Origin. My best bet of the round will be the Newcastle special. All three Knights players to score, being Ponga, Best, and Gagai at $53. Could be on.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and we will hopefully talk to Origin best bets next podcast and hopefully get
Yeah.
that one out just before the game. So yeah, keep an eye out for further bets or best bets in that podcast.
Yeah.
But in terms of trades for the round, obviously we're trying to boost our numbers to at least 13. For myself, I had like Cooler go out, which is pretty frustrating. But then you get someone like a Fletcher Sharp locking in that number one jersey. So it's yeah, ups and
Yeah.
downs.
Us
So
sharp owners got super lucky with Ponga being picked, even if it's not the best for Newcastle. It's super lucky.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, no. So my trade for this round is Smithies to Hamole Olakawatu. Smithies is a bum, and it's fine for him to go. He's not playing, and Olakawatu obviously not picked for Origin. I think he's a pretty much definite pick up for this round, considering
Yep.
he didn't go up that much off his very cheap price last round. So if you don't own him, I would strongly encourage people to jump on. But what about yourself? Do you have any trades for this round?
Yeah, so I have a flat 13. I only have 11 trades left, so I am going to hold. My biggest concern at the moment is I have Nico Hines. So he's not included in that 13, but he needs to go somewhere. I'm thinking maybe next round I trade him for Jerome Hughes. Other than that, though, I'm just going to coast on this team until I've got to. I'm only going to trade out players when I need to at this point.
Yeah, I should probably also touch on. Luckily, last round I didn't end up going Nico because of the wet weather
I
that I was
captain him.
looking at closer to the game and didn't really see any value of going Sam Walker to Nico in that round. So luckily, I don't have
Yeah,
him.
that is super lucky.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, no. In terms of best trades generally, um, there's some players at the top of this one. So obviously, Hamole, you're not thinking about jumping on Hamole at this point in time.
I already have him. I've had him
Oh, you already
since
have it.
Origin 1.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Since prior to Origin 1, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Another player that you already have, Will Price. If you didn't own him, would you be rushing to get him in your team?
Yeah, from what we've seen so far, I think he has locked down that spot. but I would still be a bit hesitant given he did have a bit of a bummy game last week. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's. I think he has locked it down, but it's his third game. I think at the very least you can get one price rise, even though it's a bit late for that.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking for a cheapie to downgrade to, he's a great option.
Yeah, I mean, for mine, I have Tolu Cooler, and I definitely have thought about Will Price, 60 and a 69, I think, in his last two games. So
He got a
averaging,
six. He got a 60, even though he had like a bum game. That's awesome.
got a 69 last game.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he had a try assist and yeah, got a
Well,
little
that
bit.
shows you basically that having a good game and having a good Supercoach game aren't really two things that often overlap.
Yeah, 100%. There's players that are good super coach players and players that are good players in the
Yeah.
NRL, right? And Will Price is going to be a good super. I already spoke to this, but he's going to be a good super coach player because he gets a lot of attacking stats. He was bad in sort of defense. He had a few errors, but that doesn't cost too much in super coach. So
He only missed like two tackles in defense. It was more so the offense he had the issues in.
yeah, like he had a bit of drop ball, but those errors don't actually cost him that much.
Yeah, yeah, I
Um,
get you.
um, yeah, so Will Price definitely a good option for mine. So I have the only player I could really trade out is Cooler. For mine, I'm kind of keen to just hold on to him given the lack of trades at the moment that are going around. And then hopefully it'll be a nice little pod if he does get the fullback spot when he comes back. Obviously, it depends how Tommy goes, but if he has the fullback spot when he comes back in a month or so, then that would be perfect. If not, I'm happy to just completely nuff him out. So I make a little bit more money because I'm probably not wasting another trade to trade Will Price out again. So
Yeah,
I'll
fair
make
enough.
a bit more money going to a 200k player instead of a 345k Will Price. So either way, I'm probably keen to or leaning towards holding Cooler, but yeah, Will Price. There's definitely worse options out there. Yeah, we'll probably touch on some of these other players when we get into the games. But yeah, there's plenty of other good options, and some of these highly traded players in that we may not think are the best options. But let's jump into the first game of the round then, the Finns versus the Rabbits. In this game, super coach wise, anyone player sticking out to you in particular?
Not really, to be honest. Other than the fact this would be, if you still have Trey Fuller, his last game for you this season.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, I think it's just the usuals. It's the Osakos, it's the Walkers. Even Whiten's doing all right recently. Jacob Gagai seems to be an okay pick on the wing as well. There's not really anyone else who's really sticking out to me, to be honest.
Yeah, so one player I do want to talk about is Jack White and 1%. His ownership change has gone up 1% this year. So 15, sorry, this
This
round.
year.
He's about 1,500 people have traded him in already. I am not a fan. You have to look at what he's scoring. He had a double on the weekend for an 88. And then the round before that, he had a 26. The round before that, he had a 27. Like
So
his
outside the double, he's doing nothing in base stats. He's
yeah,
not. He doesn't really make any runs either, so that's not great.
yeah, his scores just aren't there.
Yeah,
And while Souths have been way better recently, they're not Penrith, they're not Melbourne. Like,
they're not. They're doing well, but they're not well beats.
yeah, yeah. Like I think a couple of one or two key injuries, and he's just not an option at all. And he's sitting there, he's like an 89 there almost.
Yeah.
So I don't love Jack White, and I think there's better options. Cody Walker, would you consider Cody Walker at 600k at the
Uh,
moment?
yeah, definitely. I would consider him as a basically a like for like for Nico Hines, to be honest. I'm still not entirely sold on who I should get. I was thinking Jerome Hughes, but if Cody kills it this weekend, I might get him over Hughes instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably would want to trade him this week. If I think a lot of people are trading him in this week for like your Nico Hines to have an extra number this week, which I can understand to an extent. But with Latrell out for an extended period, I'm just worried about how Cody will go. Obviously, his scores were lower earlier in the season when Latrell was out, so I don't love it at this point in time. I've already sort of spoken to my strategy at this point of the year. I basically want to be trading guns or or really cheap players. Basically, that's it. Or I mean, if you're at a like if you want to start growing a pod, you can do that. But Cody Walker's 11% owned already. I'm just yeah, I'm not a fan of him as a pod play. I think there's a lot more potential downside than upside with Cody Walker.
Yeah, fair enough.
Probably probably two more we should touch on. So Keon Kolomatangi um looks very, very good. He's probably one of the few players that's not going to be too affected um, by Latrell being out. He scored 80 on the weekend, 97 before that, 78 before that, 52 before that, and 133 before that. So
That's some good
he's
scores.
scoring really well. I don't think he had attacking output on the weekend. I'll double check that. While I check that, yeah, what do you think about Kolomatangi?
Yeah, I don't mind him at all. I think he's a good pick. But what's his current price?
He's 700K.
For those scores, that's a bargain, to be honest. I can see why you'd want to trade him in, but is it really too much of a loss if you don't? Like, if you have better second row forwards, does it really matter?
Yeah, I wouldn't say bargain at 700K. I think he's probably almost priced out. Like, if you can consider you can spend 100K less to get Ola Kawatu. I'm not the biggest fan of Kolomatangi, but yeah, definitely worse trades you can make. He looks very, very solid at the moment. Probably the last one I really want to touch on it is Jai Gray. He's 5'8" fullback dual. Looks like he's going to be locked into that fullback spot with Latrell out. What are your thoughts on Jai Gray at the moment?
Yeah, I don't mind him, but again, how long is Latrell out for? Is it 2 to
Quite a
5 weeks or
I think
something?
it might be. Oh, I don't know.
Look, I just think there's cheaper options out there that at fullback. I don't really see the point of going to Jai Gray when you could go from Latrell and upgrade from there, or even downgrade to say there's a couple players out there. Even Pong around that price, I think is probably a better option than downgrading to Jai Gray.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you want to do with your team. He does have that 5'8" dual, so he could be your sort of 5'8" 2, and then um when Latrell's back, he can just sit there and not
Yeah, yeah, I get that.
he's not going to lose any money. Like, sorry, no, he's not going to be an AA. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Because he's not going to go to that
Yeah,
14. Be very unlikely. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Latrell's list Frank, I think, but it's not a tradition. I don't know. So Latrell could be a while. Like Latrell could be the season, as in the season for Supercoach. Um, so yeah, he could be a really good option. Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind Jay Gray. Out of all the options I spoke to, I probably Jay Gray's the one I like the most, especially at a low ownership percentage. Um, yeah, I think it's not the worst shout to take a punt on a Jai Gray if you have uh space in the 5'8" or fullback.
okay, yeah, fair enough. I get where you're coming from. Cool.
Um, any other players you want to touch on in this game, or should we jump into the bets for this
I
one?
think we should go straight to the betting. So, what do you have this game?
Yeah, for mine, I like the bunnies at the plus line. If you I was would have been happy to probably take them close to even odds, but if you give me a plus line, I'll get around that. While I might not be the biggest fan of some of these bunnies plays from a super coach perspective, they're looking really good as a team at the moment. I think Jai Gray will do a serviceable job coming back in there. Um, so yeah, happy to take the bunnies at a plus. I think possibly I'll be able to get plus 4.5, but I'd probably still take plus 3.5 either way. But plus 4.5, hopefully, I'll get in this one. Yeah, just obviously, uh, Felice Kafusi, Kurt Donahue, Hammer out, and then the big one is Jeremy Marshall King for mine. I think he's probably one of the best nines in the comp, and it's a massive, massive out for this Dolphins team. What about
Yeah,
yourself?
ultimately, I agree with you as well. I think the Bunnies will win, even though they're outsiders. I've got them plus AJ to score at 350.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's jump into the next game of the round: the Sharks versus the Tigers.
Ooh, this
Um,
one could be a big one, actually. This could be the Sharks' like season on the line. Like if they lose this, you'd imagine they drop out entirely.
Yeah, well, you did post something, or you did mention something early today about the Sharks to miss the eight. Do you want to speak to that? as a
Yeah,
bet
so
both
the
ways.
Sharks to miss the eight were $13 as of about midday today. They have now dropped into 11 with the news that Nico Hines is effectively out for the rest of the season. So the reason why I think this is a good bet is because the Sharks are currently sitting in fourth place. That is only that is 2 wins behind 10th. And if you include the Broncos, Raiders, and Rabbits, who all have a decent chance of making finals as well, that is 3 wins away. That is 3 wins separating third place and I believe 13th. So there's an absolutely massive logjam there, right? And then you then get up the Sharks draw and you have a look at who they're playing. So this week they're playing the Tigers, who, for all, I know they're coming last, but they're not playing too bad footy apart from that game against the Storm. And then after that, they have a bye, so they're guaranteed 2 points. But after that, they are playing the Cowboys, who are currently in eighth, and they look kind of thirsty. They need to perform. They're playing them in Townsville as well. Then they're playing the Rabbitohs at PointsBet. The Rabbitohs, again, a team on the up without Latrell, to be fair, but that could be a win. Then they're playing the Titans, another team that is effectively playing better footy, even though they're in a lower position on the table. Then Newcastle, who are currently in ninth and have the same position as the Cows, where that they need to win to stay in the final chance. Then the Dragons, same thing as well. And then the Warriors. And then final round being Manly. All these teams have a chance of still making the finals. It seems like an easy draw until you look at the fact that these teams are so close to making the eight that they will be fired up when they play the Sharks. So that's
Yeah,
why I think the Sharks have a far worse draw than it seems, and I think the Sharks will end up missing the eight this year.
yeah. I mean, all good points you've raised. Just to sort of play devil's advocate in where this bet or where that bet would fall down. You look at the points. So the Sharks have 10 wins. Probably to make the eight, they need 13 wins.
Yep.
So obviously you take buys out for everyone. I would say with 13 wins, they make the eight. They could even sneak in with 12. Unlikely. But 13 wins, I think they make the eight. So they need to win 3 games.
Yep.
If they lose this weekend, I think you're a really good shout for them to miss. But I don't think they lose this weekend, which I'll speak to in my bet. And then, yeah, like a Bunnies team without Latrell, yeah, I think there's plenty of like all the teams they're playing are not particularly good teams. They're not playing the Panthers, Storm. They don't play Panthers, Storm, Roosters, do they? They don't play any of them.
No, they don't. They effectively play teams that are at the lowest. I think they're playing the Sharks this week. And then
Yeah,
the highest team they play after that is, I believe, Manly, who are currently seventh.
yeah, yeah. So they're not playing any teams where I would sort of like
Hmm.
write them off in any of these games.
Oh, no, definitely not. But I think that every team is going to come up there and they are going to light a fire up in their ass, knowing if they lose against the Sharks, that's effectively their season.
Yeah, I don't think teams really care about knocking a particular other team out unless it's a massive rivalry. But yeah, obviously teams will be fired up to win themselves, especially if they're pushing for the eight. But I think the Sharks do end up probably falling, but creeping in the. I reckon they come
You reckon
seven,
they, yeah,
not
okay,
one.
that is fair enough. It really depends on how many wins are needed to make the eight this year.
Yeah, yeah. We're talking about a bet that's paying over 10 to 1. So in that instance, I
Oh, it's
don't
definitely
mind.
valued. Yeah.
Don't mind it. Yeah, yeah. You're sort of, but you got to be thinking like it probably doesn't win, but it's value. It's value either way. Anyway, we've got sidetracked. Let's talk about the plays in this one. The first one we should talk about is Nico Hines. I've already touched on him. In terms of strategy with Nico Hines, would you be looking to jump off this week? Would you be looking to wait to next week? Would you be looking to wait even till maybe Cleary's back? What's your sort of thinking?
Yeah, so my thinking is that I kind of do want Jerome Hughes. I know I previously spoke about potentially getting Cody Walker, but I think if I get Hughes, that means it's a better option for me. And if I do wait until next week, it means there are far more players to trade to potentially other than Hughes as well. So I think, given it is a buy round, if you have the players to cover Nico, I think it's fine. Just wait a week. How about yourself?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll probably agree with you on that one. Definitely would be keen to wait a week in this instance. Yeah, I think your best 2 halves for the run home with Nico being out is going to be Cleary Hughes. So I can definitely get behind people going to Hughes next week. But yeah, definitely probably wait a week. There is one player in a later. Uh, yeah, there is one option in a later game, which is really rogue, but that's probably the only player. We'll talk to him later on, but yeah, no. At the moment, I don't really see any great. Like I've already said, I don't like Cody Walker. He's the number one traded in halfback, and then people are trading in the next. The number two is Jerome Hughes, and not even playing. So, um, yeah, I don't think you need to trade him out this week, but yeah, I think it's a reassess. There's some okay options, but I think it's a reassess for next week.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Um, in terms of other options, we can talk sort of more trade-ins in this one. Some people still jumping on Appy. Would you still be keen to jump on Appy? He had a big score on the weekend, but poor score the round before that. How do you feel about Appy at the moment?
Yeah, look, I feel like hookers are probably one of the lowest scoring positions on average. I feel like once you've got your hookers for the year, probably just stay on them. I don't really see the point in trading an Appy. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I have him. I'm not touching. I agree and not messing around too much with the hooker position. Um, two players that sort of become more relevant with Nico being out are Braden Trindle and Daniel Atkinson. Trindle at 435k, Atkinson at 404k. Would you be interested in either of them? Maybe with them both getting more of a role at the moment.
Yeah, look, I'm really interested to see how they both play. At the start of the season, we saw that Trindle was very much taking the blunt of the attacking force off Nico Hines, which was really odd. They were winning when that was happening, though. Keep that in mind. So I think maybe Trindle might be a go now that Nico's gone again. I don't really have any opinion on that though.
Yeah, Trindle's a tough one because, like, for example, last round he had a 70, and then he had a 34, and then a 30, and then a 76, then a 25, then 65, 54, yeah, and he had like a 11. So he's had really up and down scores. So I'm not a fan of uh, getting one of either of these halves, to be honest, without knowing sort of how much of a role they're gonna take. Um, Outside of that, Fanua Pole slightly traded in. Jareen Buller slightly traded in. Um,
Bulls had two good games back to back. I really don't think it's a good idea to trade him in.
yeah, yeah, no, I would agree, but he did have 100 on the weekend, so I can understand to an extent why people are looking at Jareen Buller, but um, yeah, I think it's a very brave, bold choice, but
He's very brave, very, very brave.
yeah, but not for me. And Fanua Pole and probably not for me either.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, in this game, no one else is particularly streaming out to me. A lot of these other plays you would probably already have if you didn't already. But yeah, I still think some of these Sharks plays will be good options for the run home. I still think they'll go okay. Like I still think they at least make the eight and probably win about half their games. So I think yeah, I think there's some still decent options in some of these Sharkies players outside backs. Um, yeah, but nothing too much more to add um, in this one. Let's jump into betting. What did you have in this game?
Yeah, so I think the Sharkies slide starts now, to be honest. I think they're kind of shot morally, especially after news on Nico. I'm going to say Tigers win with Mulatalo and Staines scoring. I don't know why they didn't write down what that is, so the value will be down here, up here. I don't know.
Yeah, nice. For mine, I think people are buying way too much into Nico being out. This Sharkies team is still a really strong team, uh, and I expect them to win this game. The Tigers haven't looked convincing at all over the past month or so. Um, this isn't a game I expect them to win. But I do expect them to keep it reasonably close. I don't expect the Sharks to be able to put on some of the point scoring heights that they might have in previous games. But I still do expect them to win, and they will be desperate to win after losing a fair few games. The Tigers probably can't really make the eight, and the Sharkies will need to get some wins through this period to ensure they do make the eight. So got the Sharkies 1 to 22, 24, whatever is the best odds. Um, or at least $1.80 odds is what I'll have. It'll be above my head, but yeah, the Sharkies 1 to something in this game.
Fair enough.
The next game around, the Titans versus the Eels. Obviously, Mitchy Moses has gone into Origin camp for this Eels team, but yeah, Titans and Eels teams that are both slightly different from previous rounds. Supercoach wise, a lot of implications for some of these Titans players. Uh, the player with the biggest negative break even for this round is Jaden Campbell. Have you thought about bringing Jaden Campbell at all, or yeah, does he offer any interest to you?
Well, the problem is with him, where's he going to play it when Brimson comes back? It's a very, very weird situation when they have where it's not clear who the best player is. And I don't think it's great to pick up a player who doesn't, he's not necessarily not going to play, but it's not certain as to where he plays on the field. And that's kind of holding me back from picking him up.
Yeah, no, for mine, I feel like Jaden Campbell's probably a lock for at least the fullback or the 5'8".
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I mean. But the problem is, if you're changing position week in, week out, you can't play consistent football.
yeah, look, I reckon I reckon honestly, I'm at least 70% certain that he gets the 5'8" for the rest of the season. And then I probably say I'm 95% certain or 99% certain that he's going to at least have the fullback or the 5'8". So I wouldn't be stressing too much if I was an owner or thinking about bringing him in. For mine, I have Fletcher Sharp and Pappenhausen in the fullback, so I'm not really looking to make a trade in those positions because I'm not really sort of forced into making a trade. But I can understand people that are forced into making a trade, jumping to Jaden Campbell, and I prefer him a lot to some of the other options that people are looking at fullback. And yeah, there's one of the later games that we can speak to. Um, David Fafita is the next highest traded in. Would you still be happy to trade in David Fafita at this
Oh,
point in
most
time?
certainly. I'll trade him in for anything if I really get the time and like the trades to do so.
Yeah.
I love his footy. He's playing well, and now we know for certain he's not playing Origins. So I think he's a lock if you can get him.
Yeah. I checked his score on the weekend and he got like a 50 something, and I was shocked because
That's
he's that
ridiculous. That's his lowest score ever.
yeah, he's that consistently good. So he's a player that I think you just have to have. So if you don't already have him, I would definitely be looking at trading him in for this round, considering he's not playing Origin. Um, so in the Eels team, let me just see.
I
Yeah,
believe it's Jake Tonga's second game.
yeah. So Jake Tungo is highly traded in. Charlie Goiguma, I don't even
Oh, he
know.
had an awesome game last week, so I can see exactly why you trade him in.
Yeah, but these are players that
Charlie Guna.
Charlie Juno, yeah. No, yeah, but both of these are players that I don't know, bottom dollar, but if I'm
You
trading in
need,
bottom dollar players at this point, I kind of want nuffs. Kind of
yeah.
don't want these type of players. So
Actually, what did Charlie Guma get last week? He played awesome footy, but did that translate over to Supercoach?
it probably not a lot. Like he scored 43. I don't know. He's starting 13 this round. Who's out? Sorry, Junior Paulo out,
Yeah,
so
good.
might get more minutes through the middle, but
I think Paulo is out for 3 weeks. Is that right?
I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Either of these two players, I don't know if Tongo's definitely like I don't know when the like Sevo and who is it? Sevo and Russell are back.
Yeah, Sean Russell. I don't know either, to be honest. And
Yeah. But if I
well,
knew like Tongo was gonna get a couple of weeks and then just be basically enough,
yeah,
then I wouldn't mind Tongo, but I just don't love these type of players that could be like an AE nightmare moving forward. So
yeah.
yeah, not the biggest fan. Um, Outside of that, I don't know. Dylan Brown's always a solid option to trade in. Kieran Foran,
Was did you see he wants to go around another year? Like he's
good
how
on him.
ridiculous is that?
Any interest in Kieran Foran at 547K?
Not really, to be honest. I still think he's not really certain to play every game at this point. I think he's too injury prone to pick up the super coach, even though he's playing good footy. But there's every chance he goes down with a hamstring injury.
I think Gutherson at a little pod, 577K.
Same problem with as a foreign now. He's just too injury prone. I don't think he's worth it.
I don't agree. Actually, I kind of like Gutherson at that price. Little pod for the run home. Although I think the Eels do have a tough draw, so maybe not. But
Yeah.
I think he's an interesting option, Gutho. Outside of that, not too much else is a massive trade in. Madison starting, maybe an option,
Mhm.
but it doesn't excite me a lot.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, so that's probably everything Supercoach in this one. What did you have for your bets?
Yeah, look, the way I see this game, I think there's going to be a lot of points, pending weather, of course, as we've found out recently. So I think I've got the Titans. I have AKP, both the feeders and Jaden Campbell to score at 20.75. How about yourself?
Yeah, I've already spoken to my best bet of this round, but the Titans 1 to 22 on sports bet at $1.90. Yeah, it's just a Titans team that looked really good with Jaden Campbell in the team. So I expect them to win. But yeah, like I said, I expect the Eels to put up a bit of a fight to keep it somewhat close. It is spoilers. I'm basically getting on 1 to 22 or 1 to 24 in three of the games this week, and well, I don't expect, but I think there's a possibility that one of those could blow out. But I expect all the teams to at least win that I'm jumping on, and uh, should win at least two of the three of those bets, but hopefully all three.
Fair
Uh,
enough.
the next game around is the Broncos versus the Dragons in Brisbane.
I don't want
Broncos.
to watch this. You know, this game's just going to be an absolute turd. Up, like every team's missing their best player.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just don't want to watch it. And like Jack DeBellin is captain. Like, how poor does that look in the Dragons?
Yeah. Obviously, we'll touch on the outs. Carrigan, Pass, Walsh, Cobbo, and then Hunt, Laurie, Lomax, also Jock Madden out. Um,
It's not going to be fun to watch.
Obviously, big outs in both teams. Which team do you think is more affected by the outs?
Yeah, look, I only think it's the Dragons because Kyle Flanagan can't really run a team by himself. A lot of their attack runs through Sloan and Hunt. Sloan's still there, obviously, but I think without the efforts from Lomax and just the game management by Hunt, I think a Broncos missing these players will probably win comfortably.
Yeah, obviously, the counter argument to that would be obviously Walsh, key spine member, Reynolds still out, key spine member. And then you got like probably the best front rower in the game in Payne Haas, and then
Yeah.
probably the best 13 in the game in Paddy Carrigan, all missing from this Broncos team. So I can understand the argument that uh, any of those would be bigger outs, but Benny Hunt obviously is massive for this Dragons team.
Yeah, the way I put it, I think that the Broncos have bigger outs, but I think the Dragons have more integral outs.
Yeah, I can yeah, definitely appreciate that opinion. It's hard to say, I guess, but yeah, Benny Hunt obviously big out. In terms of Supercoach, there's not very many highly traded in players in this game. Um, would you be looking at like an Ezra Mann at 444K, Jesse Arthurs at 270K?
Ooh, it's not too bad. How long is Cobo out for? Like, is Arthur's really going to hold down that spot?
Arthurs, I think he played last week. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know to be honest.
Yeah, that's definitely a to look into for myself. I know he's cheap, but there's no guarantee he plays every game.
Yeah,
Um, I just don't see the value in going down to him. And Ezra Mam, I think there's better options.
yeah. As a man, I've never been a fan of as a super coach option. So I don't really like anyone particularly in this game. Payne Haas, obviously, is a player that we're going to want to target. Have you got plans with Payne Haas when you want to sort of pick him up, or
Yes,
if you
so
already picked
I think next week is my biggest trade week. I'm going to trade in both Ponga and probably Jerome Hughes. The following week I will try to target Payne Haas.
Yeah, probably similar. I'm looking at Payne Haas. yeah, he might not back up, but yeah, definitely looking at him for the run home, and just got to decide what week that is exactly when I do
Yep.
pull the trigger on Payne. But yeah, definitely will be jumping on Payne Haas at
Yeah.
some point in time.
Yeah. Pain will inflict pain. Am I right?
That's right. But no other massive trade-ins or talking points in this one. Let's talk betting. What do you have and why do you like it?
Yeah, look, I'm going with a pretty simple bet. I can't really tell what's really going to happen try-wise, so I'm just going with a simple one here. I'm going Bronx with Corey Oates to score at 250. As we found out, it seems to be for the Broncos when in doubt, pass to Corey Oates when no one's there, and I think we'll continue to see the same.
Yeah, nice. From mine, I do like the Broncos. It's probably the third game in a row where I'm going to take that 1 to 22, 1 to 24 style bet. I like the Broncos in a close one. I think the line is around 5.5, 6.5. And I'm not as confident in that line without some of the attacking threats that they have in this team. So I'll jump on the Broncos 1 to 24. Obviously, we can speak to the Dragons. Last buy round that they played, they were missing obviously the same sort of players, and still did get the win. Jesse Marsh, she looked like the second coming of Joey, but I don't think that's. I think that's sort of a bit of an outlier. You can't just expect that because
Yeah,
this done that well um, previously that the same sort of thing is going to happen in the same like sort of situation. You do have to sort of consider that that was probably a lot better than they would generally play. And I think this Broncos team is going to be very, very desperate to win off a fair few losses. So I think they'll find a way to get it done, but I don't think they'll win by a lot of points against a Dragons team that admittedly did look decent in
yeah.
the last game they played. So Broncos 1 to 22, 1 to 24, something like that. That'll be above my head exactly what I'm taking.
Yeah, I'm with you on there. I've just come to the realization that we don't really have any side bets yet. So going back to the Sharks v Tigers game, would you like to take a head-to-head on that?
Definitely. Let's do it. Sharks v Tigers head to head.
Fair enough.
Um,
Also, another side bet now. I'm going to say at least three debutants score on debut this week. Would you be willing to take that?
I kind of like agree with that, but I don't know how many debutantes are playing.
Yeah, should we look into that?
Like, that's probably a really bad bet for you to take, but
Who else is here? I actually probably should have looked into it, shouldn't I? I reckon I've gone too high.
yeah, like there's a fair few players that don't play regularly, but I don't know that there's heaps of debutantes.
Yeah, no, it's a bad take from myself. I will pull that one back actually. I'll
Uh,
happily take two if you want, or is that too
yeah, no, I'll take two. That's fine,
happy for it?
even
I
though I
reckon.
couldn't agree with it, but it's just like mathematically a dumb bet probably.
Fair enough.
Um, yeah, okay. Let's just talk through the last game of the round.
Game of the
Um,
round, if you will be there. So
we'll be at the game and probably be very up for it and hope our bet gets up. Let's firstly talk to some of the ins and outs in this team. Obviously, the Knights team missing a fair few in their back line, and it's affected the makeup
yeah,
of the back line in this one. So Best, Gagai, Tuwala, and Ponga out. Leaves a back five of Sharp, Mapalangi, Lucas, Kant, and Marzu.
all because Tom Jenkins is playing such bad footy that for whatever reason they'd rather play like two second rowers at center over him, which is ridiculous.
Um, we'll talk to Kant probably more in the betting space. I mean, I can speak. We can speak to him super coach wise. I'm a
Can't
massive
count
fan
on
of
it.
his
Yeah,
work. He absolutely kills it. He's probably one of our best reserve grade players. Um,
he is a second rower to be fair, but he's still
yeah,
scoring week in week out. He scored I think four a couple of weeks ago, just in one game.
yeah. He's a really strong reserve grade player.
Yeah, and he kicks
So
goals as well. In that game, he scored I believe 24 points at second row.
yeah, nice. Um, yeah. So at I think he's 200K. So would you be keen to sort of get him in this round, get that extra score for round 19, and then he's basically an an automatic enough because he probably doesn't play again for the rest of the season.
Yeah, look, with Chihuahua out with what I believe is a hamstring injury, there is every reason to believe that he may end up pushing Yagai out to the wing. So I wouldn't commit right away to him if you want enough. If you want a cheapie, fair
But
enough.
if that's the case, then I think Lucas would just keep keep the center spot. Be
He
best for.
could, but he could stay at second row if Khan kills it.
I don't know. I think it's not a bad enough option for this week.
I mean,
Um,
it just really depends. I don't know if he's enough, but I think he's decent enough to be second rower in your team, even if he gets rotated in and out. I don't know, but is he dual center wing second row or just pure second row?
I'm pretty sure it's just second row. I
Look,
don't
I
know.
don't hate the idea, and I might end up doing it myself, but I just don't think he's end up going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean he's 238k, which is a little bit annoying. It costs you an extra 34 odd k versus a
Yes.
200k player, but I don't know. There's worse ideas.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
we'll talk to him more betting wise. Obviously, the player I traded in this round is Homole Olakawatu. I
I'm
think
on
it's
it.
600k. It's a pretty easy decision to make. Do you have anything more to add about Olakawatu?
Not really. I've had him since about round 10, I believe, or somewhere around then. I think he's a massive player and he scores consistently enough that he's got an upside with huge like base stats anyway. So I think he's a lock if you can get him.
Yeah, averaging 70.3 this season. And I think with a fully fit Manly team or like Turbo back and all the boys humming to try and make the finals for the rest of the season, he could easily average a lot more than that. He could average 80, 85. So at 600k, he's pretty much a must have, in my opinion.
Agree. Hard agree.
Willie Price, we've already spoken to, good attacking upside, just in a bit of an awkward price at 345k. But if you want a playable option, then there's definitely worse choices you can make. Ruben Garrick fallen to 646k.
Oh,
Do
that's
you?
a cheapie I'd be locking down as soon as possible. If you think Manly going to go on a run, I'd definitely pick up Garrick right away.
Yeah, I agree. Goal kicking and a very, very good football player. I think if you don't already
Yeah.
have Garrick, I would.
What's his break even though? Because it would be a bit skewed after getting that Cat 1 concussion 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be too worried. Like he's playing this round, so I would be. It's high, like it's
Yeah.
129, but I
Yeah.
would probably be jumping on this round. Um, just to make sure you get the score this week. But if you don't have to, like if you can wait a week, then sure, like he'll lose some money this week. But he could easily go like 100, and you.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you mean.
But yeah, like you could wait a week if you really wanted to. But I'm a big fan of jumping on this week. If you can, the next player trade in is one that we will sort of be a pretty hotly discussed topic. Tom Trbojevic at the fullback position.
I just don't
If
think
you're
he's fully fit. I don't think he's a great pickup.
Yeah. So obviously the trail owners might be looking for an option this week. If you're looking for an option this week, uh, you wouldn't consider Tommy T.
I definitely wouldn't, to be honest. I just don't trust him. We've seen as well, he's been back for a game or two and just collapsed. I really don't think he's fit, and I don't think he will be fit for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I would love to be like I love my footy, so I'd love to be proven wrong, but I just don't think we'll see it this year.
Yeah. Look, to be honest, I'm not willing to go so far as to say, oh, I don't think he'll be fit this year. He very easily could be. I'm not really reading too much into the game on the weekend. But what you do have to take out of the game on the weekend was he straight up wasn't good. Like he didn't look 100%.
He looked so slow. That's the problem.
Yeah.
He was so
And
sluggish. That's center. What's he going to
regardless
do
of
at
if
fullback?
you yeah. Regardless of if you think, oh, like it was just one game, like it's not a big deal. That still doesn't warrant you trading him in, right? He's 738k. Um, like he's definitely the sort of player you should be waiting to look at. It's just circumstance means that the Trell's out and Tommy T's available for this week in a buy round where people are short numbers, so people are jumping on. I think it's a massive risk that you don't need to take. Obviously, it might work out for you, but um, I think it could really bite some people in the ass jumping on Tommy T this week.
Yeah, I really do think it could.
I prefer other options if you have to jump on someone this week. Maybe like a Jaden Campbell, I prefer this week just to flip up to be your 582 eventually. But yeah, even just save the trade on Tommy T. Um, Other players like Marzu's going to be a solid trade. He scored well, and he's going to score well with Ponga back in the team.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
What about, okay, really like a really oddball pick, but Jackson Hastings at 7. I believe he's 500 something K. The reason I bring that up is because he's currently average.
545.
Sorry?
He's 545K.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up is because if you do have a Nico, he is currently at I think he's 6th or 7th highest average for a halfback. If you're looking for someone to make 200K while consistently scoring 50 to 60, he could be the go.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't excite me much. I don't see the upside really.
Well, he scores like maybe once every 2, 3 games that brings him up to like an 80. I think he might be a decent pick.
He doesn't score every one to two, three. Like he doesn't score every 3 games. Scores like twice a season.
Want to look it up?
Yeah, it's not. He hasn't scored that many tries.
Let's see how many he scored this year.
Twice a season was hyperbolic, but um,
3 tries, so he may as well.
yeah,
But okay, once every 5 games.
yeah, but yeah, I'm just not a fan. I don't see the same upside as like a Cleary or a Hughes, and that's what you should be targeting. The halfback option I was kind of keen to talk about a little bit in this game is his opposition number, Jamie Humphries. Um, his halfback hooker duel. I think it's a genuine option to look at Jamie Humphries for this game. Trade him in for like your Nico, and then it depends on who your hookers are. But if you want to if you've got a strong hooker and you want to nuff out the other hooker, I think you could trade him for Nico in the halfback this game, and then flip him up and just sit him there as a nuff in your hooker two, and just run with one hooker, and then obviously that you'll trade in like your Jerome Hughes or your Nathan Cleary for next round. I think that's a viable option, and it'll free up a lot of cash in that halfback hooker position.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty smart actually.
yeah, so I think that's a genuine option because I do think he scores well this round. He's a really good footy player. Um, and yeah, like I don't see him getting another game. He could get 14, which would be frustrating. So there's definitely some risk in it, but yeah, no, it's an interesting way of doing things. Yeah, there's worse trades you can make, I think, in that one. But we've probably spoken to everything. Obviously, there's plays we're gonna start to touch on from next round, like your Caleb Pongers. Um,
Bela Monga.
yeah, but for this round, you're obviously not gonna jump on. Um, what do you have betting wise in this game?
Yeah, look, the Knights are going to jump the gun here. We're outsiders, but I think we're going to absolutely smash Manly at home. I've got Knights 13 plus, can't anytime at 775.
Yeah, but we've already spoken to the head and heart bet of the week, which is Kant and Humphreys both to score, and I'm a big fan of both of them. I think Humphreys has looked really good in cup, and Kant has looked very, very strong. He loves to get a meaty. So for mine, my best bet in this game is just Kant anytime try scorer. I think he's around $3.50, but I'll have him above. I'll have the best odds I can find above my head right now. But tomorrow night, Wednesday night, they'll like Wiki will update his model so that we see the best actual odds. So you can just go to Wiki's model to find the best odds for Kant, which hopefully will be close to that $4 mark, which would be great. So if I can get around that $4 mark, that would be perfect. But yeah, big fan of him. He loves to find the line, and Knights debutants love to find the line as well. So I think he crashes over in this one. Um,
Indeed.
so just to recap for the round, obviously that's the last game because it is the shorter round. Um, just to recap, we've got the Sharks versus Tigers head to head as one of the best bets. You've got two debutants to score in the round as another best bet. Was there anything else you wanted to jump on as a best bet?
Not really, to be honest. I've got my bet for Origin next week, but we'll get into that as well next week as well.
Yeah, fair enough. So just the two best bets in this one. Um, obviously, Supercoach wise, this is the last major buy round, but we have a minor buy round next week. So got to make sure you're planning well for that one. For mine, after you get through the minor buy round, your team's set. You want 5 or 6 trades just in case things go wrong. So at this point in time, I think you want to make sure you have 11, 12 trades at least. So don't go burning trades. So you're under 10 at this point in time. Would you agree?
I definitely agree as well. Like I maybe if you know what you're doing, maybe 9, but I probably wouldn't be under 10.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But this is the sort of point in time where I think betting and Supercoach starts to heat up. Um, yeah, plenty of opportunity to make money in this period and plenty of opportunity to climb ranks. So hopefully when you tune in next week, we will have made some money and we will have we will have moved up in Supercoach. Do you have anything to add before I let you go?
Not at all, other than the our usual greeting of I think it's time to go fuck ourselves.